Yes. Thank you.
Not to preempt what you may be discussing a little bit later in your presentation, but last week we asked about workforce development, and the response was we have 4 staff related to workforce development. Now you have this information that gives your structure, and I mean, to me, it speaks that we need to have, within your department, which is vast and big and lots of, moving parts across, California, we need to have a really good, program and staffing level that interacts with other departments, with City Build and Office of Economic Workforce Development, to be able to create that workforce development pipeline.
Supervisor, and I think the only issue there is where they're working and who they report to. But yes, greater efforts, absolutely agreed to. And that gets to the second part. Right now, and for quite a while, we have been giving a general work order to City Build, Mayor's Office of Workforce and Economic Development of about $275,000. In this last year, we created an additional position, a 9706 employment person. That person is actually a PUC employee, but they have been given to City Build. It is often easier in the city processes for us to find a position and just use it fast. And so this person was hired and reports to Ms. Simmons and her folks, but it is a PUC employee. But we're counting it on this page because it is directly related to in-city projects for the WESIP program within the City Build family, but it's a PUC employee. In the last year, we also added a position in our budget for a manager who is the 3rd level manager within City Build, but that person is actually paid for 1/3 from the PUC, 1/3 from redevelopment, and 1/3 from the Mayor's Office of Workforce and Economic Development. So those are 2 positions that were added in the current year budget that are now working on PUC requisitions but assigned to City Build full-time. We do not manage them.
Supervisor McRamey?
Thank you, Chair Avalos. Director Harrington, at our meeting of May 20th, we had reiterated some questions about data that we're looking for with regard to the composition of those who are becoming enlisted in the workforce of PUC. I'm not sure if we got that data, or maybe we're getting it in increments.
Supervisor, I'm sorry, I don't recall a question about the PUC's workforce makeup. Is that what you're asking?
No, not people who are coming in through the workforce development programs.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that was a question from last time.
The demography.
Of who's getting jobs, kind of? And it's not people coming into PUC's workforce, it's people that are being employed in our programs.
Yeah, the programs, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I did not understand that was a request. We'll get it for you. Sorry.
Okay, so just to be clear, so on the WISIP programs and everything we've been talking about for the last few months, if we can get some idea of how what you're illustrating for us today is being deployed to get people who, I don't mean directly employed with the PUC,
right,
but in a number of the project agreements.
Okay, and that was part of the discussion that you had at your committee, not at the budget meeting. That's why I'm getting confused with it. Okay, and we are working on responses from the hearing that was there about what we said.
Thank you.
The other part of that is opportunities for change or improvement. As I mentioned, we had added a position this last year, and that kind of completed turning over the workforce development issues related to local projects. We still have an outside consultant working on regional projects, and we are working with Ms. Simmons and her staff to talk about how they can be more involved in those regional projects, up to and including taking it over completely, but working with them to see what they would like to do in terms of the regional projects. When last week I was saying we spent about $500,000, we thought we might be spending an additional up to $400,000 more this year. That was our estimate of two more positions and about $100,000 for outside contractors or others. Ms. Simmons, I think, is very interested in coming back to us with her proposal of how she would like to do it, as opposed to us suggesting how she might. And so we are working with her and her staff to find out how they think they can be more involved and or take over based on what their ability is. I might also add that while much of the focus here is on construction jobs, I know that Ms. Simmons is very, very concerned that we not limit the discussion to that we are a major employer, so it does include who we hire, and we have a lot of jobs that aren't just construction related, or maybe indirectly related to construction or others, and she is quite interested in trying to work with us to see how they can get more involved in having city build and local job opportunities for all of that. We have been meeting with her and her staff, and we have not come up with the plan yet. We are trying to set aside some money so that when the plan is done, we have it together. My working assumption, I don't want to speak for her, my working assumption is that you will be dealing with Mayor's Office of Workforce and Economic Development budget in the next month. And as part of that, that would be a great time for us to have that plan together and be able to rearrange funds if we need to make that plan work and pay for itself.
So related to that, Mr. Harrington, was the legislation a couple of years ago that would reorder workforce dollars from the PUC budget into OEWD. The first phase of that was through the general fund departments that were receiving workforce training and placement dollars, but it stopped short of doing it through the PUC. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Do you know on what scale, how much money that might be?
Well, again, what we had talked about was potentially $400,000. Again, the people that most of our employees are working on a variety of issues with contractors, they're not really focused on placement. And so I don't want to presuppose what Ms. Simmons would believe to be a robust program, but we had guessed $400,000, a couple of positions, and some outside consultants. We haven't heard a response back.
Okay. Maybe it would be helpful that when you return, we return with Ms. Simmons at the same time.
Again, I think that would be a perfect time to do that.
Excellent. Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions for Director Harrington?
Thanks.
Thank you. Budget Analyst, Mr. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the PUC, our recommended reductions are detailed on pages 54 through 68. On page 68, you'll note that we have made recommended reductions of $5,070,583 for fiscal year 2010-2011 and $3,809,908 for fiscal year 2011-2012. Also, on that page is a breakdown by division, which the chair requested, and so you can see where those recommended reductions are coming from specifically by division. It is our understanding, as Mr. Harrington stated, that the department does concur with our recommended reductions, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Colleagues, any questions for the budget analyst? Is it okay that we go ahead and take the recommendations of the budget analyst as they've been consented upon? Very good. Motion by Supervisor Maxwell, seconded by Supervisor Campos. We'll take those, and Mr. Harrington, we'll hold this off and towards the end of the month in June, we'll complete the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just really quickly, Joshua Arce with Brightline. Out of fairness to the General Manager, Mr. Harrington, I had mentioned kind of the comments that wanted to make a couple just brief points, and he said, make sure that I say that no matter what, he's committed to fixing the situation. For Supervisor Campos and Supervisor Maxwell, you're probably aware that a lot of the workforce questions came out of what we learned in the smaller budget committee around the WISIP job creation, that for San Francisco's nearly 50% investment in the WISIP, we're only seeing 10, 11% of the jobs, and actually 55% of the jobs are going outside the even ratepayer base, people that are paying for the project. So clearly there's a lot of room for work. I just wanted to say a couple things. I told the General Manager I disagree that he put labor relations and community relations in a kind of separate pot beside workforce. I disagree, and I told him that in my experience engaging labor relations around the broader concept of local hiring reform, the labor relations team has told me point blank that they are workforce, that they control the gate of relationships with the trades, with the contractors, and I'd really like to see a workforce expert in that channel, not someone who's, as Supervisor Maxwell said, may not have the same incentives and the same hunger for access that we have in what we're trying to do on local hire. Second, I wanted to say, and that's important because I think in some of those meetings I've heard things like, well, San Franciscans don't want to travel outside the city for work, San Franciscans don't want to go outside their neighborhood for work, and that's nonsense. and it's heard daily, on a daily basis, that it's a stereotype and a poisonous one. Second, the point of the PLA, I disagree with Mr. Harrington that it was just about labor stability. It was about social justice. And I would take you back to 2003. Supervisor Maxwell introduced a resolution that was co-sponsored by Supervisor Daley, the dynamic duo, and it said that if the PUC is going to do a project labor agreement, it's supposed to promote social justice. And that passed 11-0 at the Board of Supervisors. I was able to pass that out at that hearing. I apologize, I don't have other comments, but clearly there's room to do better. To make sure they're doing better. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate your patience.